Hey everyone, it's Susan Ball here, unapologetically you, mentor and coach. And today's topic is about a question I get asked a lot, and that's when we come out of an abusive relationship. It's very hard to find ourselves again because we've given everything. Our whole focus has been on this other human and keeping them happy, quiet, peaceful, and not being assaulted verbally, mentally, financially, physically. So that's where all our focus goes. And as our focus shifts all onto the abuser and keeping a quiet home, keeping the peace, so to speak, we lose touch with who we are. We just give up pieces of ourselves and they just fall away. So one of the things my clients and I talk about a lot is, where do you begin to create this new life? You've come out of it, you have sat down and discovered all of the things that were happening in the relationship that were not your fault. You have processed all the harm that was done to you, but now you're here and you're just, okay, now what? I want to put that chapter behind me and I want to move forward. But how do I do that? How do I start to rekindle my life? Where do I begin to recreate my life? So today I'm going to talk about the first and foremost foundational tool to put in your tool belt as you move forward to process and create a life you truly, truly love. So in case you don't know me, I'm Susan Ball. I work with women who are ready to take their lives to the next level and live life unapologetically with goals and boundaries and all of the good stuff after abuse, because we don't want to repeat that cycle ever again. And we want to take our lives and we want to live it to the fullest. So if you're ready to be big and bold and live unapologetically, get in touch. The link is in the description. So for today, we're going to talk about one concept and one concept only: curiosity. Curiosity is the beginning point of rekindling your love for life, recreating or creating a life you love, rewriting your history, writing the new chapter. It begins with curiosity. Because we have lost most or all of ourselves, all of our passions, all of our belief systems sometimes. I know I gave away a lot of my belief systems. Finding a starting point to say, hey, this is what I love to do. This is what I hate to do. This is what I want to do, begins with curiosity. So, and curiosity is something as children we had gobs of it. That's how children process the world, with curiosity. And that's how they learn, and that's how they stumble, and that's how they fall, and that's how they pick themselves up, or they learn something, is because they are being curious. So I want to rekindle your curiosity. That's the first stage. So when I was living really deeply in the victimhood and I was processing all of the harm that had been done to me, I felt very dark inside. I felt very empty but dark. It was very black. And I had been through so much that when people would say to me, it's time to get on with your life, it's time to write the new chapter, Susan, and so on and so forth, I would just go back to my little mushroom home and I would sit there and think, how, what, why, where, when, like, what am I going to do? And my mentor, my therapist, my coach said to me, what are you curious about? And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm not curious about anything. I'm curious about surviving day to day, blah, blah. But she started to open my eyes with some questions about curiosity and looking at things from a different perspective. And my first step into it was a very easy and simple one. And it works magically because it is simple and easy and can be done anywhere, and it's free of charge. She took me on a walk in downtown Toronto, which is where I lived at the time. And when you walk on the street, oftentimes we are looking down at the ground to see where we're going so we don't trip, or we might be looking up to see who's around us, the people around us, so we don't bump into them, or or we're looking for any kind of threats, possibly, etc. And we don't look up. And we walked along for a while, and she kept saying to me, did you see that store over there, that little shop over there? Aren't you curious about what they sell? I didn't even notice the shop. I had to literally look at the shop. And we kept doing that and going along. And then she said to me, I want you to look up. I want you to close your eyes and I want you to ask yourself, curious, what's at the top of these buildings? What am I missing up high on these buildings? Now, a lot of buildings in downtown Toronto, like any big city. And I thought, what? Oh, that's really crazy. I don't even know what she's talking about. But she said, just be patient, take a few deep breaths, and then open your eyes and you're curious about what you see. So we don't look up. And I remember opening my eyes, and the very first thing I noticed that I didn't know existed in Toronto was this big honking gargoyle on the side of a building, on the corner of a building. And he was gorgeous. He was fabulous. I had never seen him before. Well, that led to me looking around a little bit more because now my curiosity has been inspired. And I saw somebody's beautiful terrace with all kinds of plants. I saw a bar with a neon sign that I'd never noticed before that was way up on the top of a building. All of that to say, once you are curious about something and you, what's like a child, the first time you're curious and you see something, it makes you smile, it makes you happy, and your sense of wonder comes back to you. You follow through with it and you do more because you become more curious. So this is what I would like you to sit down and say, what am I curious about? What am I curious about in my life? One of the things that when I started to get really curious and I started to look at my life was I went back into my childhood, kind of teenage years, and I thought, well, what was I interested in? What could I do? What were my accomplishments? What were those things that I thought I enjoyed or thought I was good at or thought I was going to move into that field or whatever it was I was thinking about? And I recognized that one of the things that I did when I was younger was I sewed a lot. I sewed for my aunts, I sewed for friends, I sewed wedding gowns, I sewed a lot. And as all my abusive relationships kind of piled onto one another, I sold my sewing machine, I sold everything, and everything went away. And then I thought to myself, well, let's get a little curious about your sewing skills. Where are they today? Are they any good? Do you still love it? Are you still passionate about it? Do you still want to pursue it? And I went to a friend's house, my cousin who took me in, she had a sewing machine. I said, I haven't sewed in years, not in years. I'm curious if you got any old fabric, any old patterns. I didn't want to put money into it because I didn't know. Then she said, most certainly. So we sat down and I said, just let me clunk around because I just really want to see where I'm at. And the beginnings of it were really hard. I really didn't know what I was doing. And then I was feeling stupid and I was feeling, what am I doing here? And eventually I started to see this garment coming together, which was a very easy garment at the time. It was just like a shift dress. It was nothing complicated. And I started to see how much I loved it, how much I enjoyed the process of cutting it out and taking a piece of fabric and creating a garment from it. And that rekindled that joy. So it's that curiosity that will get you there. So for this video, I have a couple of journal prompts that I'm going to give you right now that will help you get curious, that will help you focus on curiosity, because I really want you to write that word at the top of your journal and focus on curiosity. So I have 3 journal prompts for you today, and you can pause the video and write these down. I'll put them in the description as well, so it's easier for you. What is a new hobby or activity you've been curious to try? What draws you to it? That's an important piece of it. What draws you to it? Is it because you want to be creative? Is it because you want something to do in the evenings, because you feel alone, etc.? What draws you to it? What's a place you've always wanted to visit? What do you find intriguing about it? So this doesn't have to be a situation where you're going to immediately go into, I can't afford it. I want you to just write with all the curiosity that you have, that if money was not an option, where would you like to go and why are you drawn to it? So I can tell you one of the places that I would like to go is Africa. I really want to go on an African safari. And the reason I want to do that is because in my childhood, my very favorite movie was Born Free, about Elsa the lion. So that draws me to going to Africa. And the third and final one is, if you could spend a day in someone else's shoes, whose life would you want to experience and what would you hope to learn? And that's a very interesting question. So for me, it would be somebody historical. And the one that I would love to live and be in her shoes is Joan of Arc. I am a real history buff about Joan of Arc, and she fascinates me, just fascinates me as a woman and what she did and what she stood for and what she accomplished. So think about those things, those three journal prompts. Think about getting curious. Do something today that you feel a little curious about. What would this feel like? What would happen if I did this? And go out and pursue that. Curiosity is step one. Bye for now.